Welcome everybody to a new episode of Flower Circus Talks. Today is going to be a special one. We're going to talk about the Brexit, and we've got some great guests there. I'm really honored that they joined me today. So we've got Caroline Marshal-Foster, the editor of the Florist Trade Magazine, managing director of the Good Florist Guide. We've got John Davidson, the finance director of Tom Brown, a wholesale florist, and we've got Kosta Foufas from FMA Ltd. So let's quickly invite them all into the live stream. And of course, ladies first. So Caroline, welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
John, welcome.
Hi there.
And last but not least, we've got Kosta in.
Hi, good to be back.
Yeah. We're talking about the Brexit, and I can see, yeah. Should we start with God Save the Queen, or?
You like, but I don't want to offend anyone in Holland.
No, why not? I mean.
Oh, hell, I'll make it even. I'll wave my Colombian flags.
Yeah. Okay, I don't choose sides here, so I'm.
No sides. No sides.
Let's quickly do a round. Start with Caroline. Caroline, can you tell a little bit about yourself for the few people who don't know you?
Oh, I'm sure there's lots of people that don't know me. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me back. I think I'm more nervous this time than I was the first time, but hey, my name is Caroline Marshal-Foster. I own the Florist Trade Magazine, which has been going since 1949, not started by me, I hasten to add. And I also run a project called Good Florist Guide, and I also do consultancy work. And for the last 23 years, I've worked with Colombia and more recently Ecuador on the South American side of the market. But I love the Dutch. I love everyone. My godfather was Dutch. I am completely partisan on everything.
Okay, great. John, can you tell a bit more about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm John Davidson. I'm the Finance and Business Director of Tom Brown Wholesale in London. I also oversee the Flower Bank in Carlisle, Meridian in Huddersfield, and Wedding in Doncaster.
Okay, great. Kosta.
My name's Kosta Foufas. I've been a wholesaler in New Covent Garden Market. I've worked with many of the packers in the UK, packing for all the high street supermarkets and many of the e-commerce businesses. I've also done projects in Holland, and I work as a consultant and an occasional trader with for myself, and mainly working out of South America and Africa.
Okay, great. The reason I called you up to join me on this conversation about the Brexit, because a lot of people are curious what is going on after the Brexit. Of course, we have some other thing going on in the world, not only in the UK. So people want to know what's going on, and that's Caroline. As a director of the Good Florist Guide. How many members do you have now?
We're nearly up to 200. We lost a few, and we're gaining more. And it's never going to be about quantity. It will always be about quality. The clue is in the name, Good Florist Guide. But it's incredibly exciting, and I love the fact that the members all work together and support each other, which over the last few months has been just so important. Let's face it, for everybody in the sector, I don't think we could have ever anticipated what a global pandemic would do to us, both positively and negatively, because it's not all been bad. I think many will be honest enough to admit that COVID has helped their businesses and has strengthened the position of flowers. I think Brexit coming in at the same time, bit of a perfect storm. Not sure which is more important at the moment. I think just getting orders in for Valentine's Day is probably the priority now. But COVID has been interesting.
Yeah, that's for sure, and still going on, and that's why, Brexit is something just. I can't call it a bonus, but
it's just another thing to take on board. And we all knew it was going to happen. We all knew that the chaps and chapesses in charge would take it to the wire. So I don't think there were any surprises there, but we are only 29 days in, and whilst there are obviously some horriblenesses and systems and procedures to get heads round, etc., there are also some hugely exciting opportunities, and I think it's thrown everything up in the air in a way that actually could be quite thrilling in my mind. That same old ain't gonna happen anymore.
That's for sure. There's a lot of opportunities. John, you guys are importing from Holland, from Europe, but also from other countries. Do you notice any difference?
No. To be honest with you, actually, it's been fairly smooth so far. I think today was the first time one of our trucks has got stopped. Even so, it's a 3-hour delay, and the truck was still where we needed to be by 4 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, January really, with COVID, has stress tested the system quite hard. Stem cells are up, and yet we're coping.
Yeah. So 29 days in, no delays, no problem. And then, how come? Or were you prepared, or is it the supplier that was well prepared? Or?
As Caroline said, we've spent probably the last 4.5 years planning for this, and you plan for every scenario as best you can. We work really, really closely with our main exporter, and on the back of that, we felt prepared going into this. There were some other people we worked with that wasn't prepared, and we've stopped trading with them for the time being until they are ready.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's also a wise lesson for the people who weren't prepared. I mean, you couldn't say you couldn't see it coming after 4.5 years. So
you'd have to be very blind if you hadn't found that there was about to be a change.
Kosta, you are obviously trading all over the world. Brexit leaving, or England or the UK leaving Europe. Now they got special trade. How do I call it?
Arrangements
with. But they also got arrangements now with South America, with Kenya, which are probably beneficial for them. Is it?
Yeah, there's been some slight hold-ups at port, more around probably lack of understanding at the actual port more than anything else, which is, as John was saying, 2-3 hour delays are expected. We haven't really seen anything much longer than that. Obviously, probably the biggest hiccup was the closure of Calais pre-Christmas, but that was nothing. Brexit. Other than that, it's been pretty smooth. There are still some hiccups in the system, which people are using workarounds in order to get around. But overall, fingers crossed. At the moment, we're pretty good. Yes, the rest of Europe is looking, is more. For me, it makes very little difference because it's the same rules that apply to the rest of the world, really, that apply to Europe now. With the exception of some additional phytosanitary inspections currently. But that's, for me, I'm seeing very little change.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, shall we stop the broadcast?
No, there's still. It depends on which aspect it is. There's still quite a lot out there, and still more to come. And I know that I'm literally only doing cut flower, but I know from a plant perspective, there have been a few more challenges.
Yeah. John, can you tell us a little bit more about the plants? What's happening there?
Yeah, sure. With plants, it's a lot harder to do what we used to do, which was bring them in on a 24-hour basis. The plants have to be phytosanitary checked now in Holland, and they leave with all the documentation. It's been a lot harder for us guys. It takes time to, we buy the plants at auction, they get delivered, they then have to sit and wait until they're inspected, until they can actually be loaded onto us. But the documentation is onerous, but they're working really hard. And I think in the first 29 days, the progress they've made has been amazing. We outsourced a lot of what we did, and now we're bringing that back in-house. And you learn as you go along. You know, they're going to start separating stocks. So the stocks that we'll be able to purchase in the UK will already been phytosanitary checked before we've even purchased them. No one, from a customer's point of view, no one will actually notice any difference. But it will just make the process a lot smoother again. But it has been tough, and also the actual cost, the documentation is high, especially if you're only bringing in very small shipments, which we do in certain locations for us guys. But it's a learning curve. All of this is a learning curve.
And I was talking to a wholesaler the other day who used to go over in his own van to Belgium before we even came into the EU. He used to take his own van over to Belgium and buy his plants off the nurseries there and then drive them back. You know, it's been done before. I think plants are painful. Plants are horribly painful. But again, it's about adapting. You know, as one of the florists said, we did a survey over the last couple of days, and as some of the florists said, plants are not good, but to be honest, I can't open my shop, so I can't put out plants anyway. So it's okay. I can cope with this at the moment, and that gives people time to get the systems into place. And it also opens up some opportunities possibly for British growers to move into more plant production. You know, is that a good side of it? Could there be more local production? Given we can't grow huge amounts more flowers, but could we move into the plant side? Because we are, as a nation, very good at plant production.
And I think maybe also for wholesalers to specialize more on plants as well, and instead of both flowers and plants, because if you can get a bigger volume in, if I understand it right, it's easier as well, especially from a cost point of view.
Definitely spreads the cost of the actual your fixed cost anyway of each shipment. I know from as John and I speak regularly, is a small shipment is going to cost you quite a lot per plant. Just about having to think a little bit more logically around when you go and bring product in, and are you bringing daily, or are you going to bring in 2 or 3 times a week? You know, I'm sure there'd be people out there that probably bring in less than that, but it's going to affect their stock quality.
But on plants, you can hold them that much longer. So, and I noticed a couple of wholesalers have relaunched their plant service in the last week or so, because they've now got it in, and it's going to come in on a Friday, I think a Tuesday and a Friday. But actually, from a retail perspective, you can work that. You can say, right, I need to have my product. And we've been advocating as a magazine that people should get into the psyche of ordering 24, 36 hours in advance or before, earlier. You know, we've all got used to this just in time, and JIT doesn't work at the moment, whether it be because of COVID or Brexit. You know, just in time can't happen because we have logistic issues, you know, whether there's enough space on the planes. You know, there's the freight. I mean, Kosta will know this more than I, but, you know, hearing that KLM have lost 15% of their cargo load, that is a lot of flowers that has got to be placed somewhere else.
For sure.
So retailers are going to have to make commitments if they want to be sure of products, and that's particularly true of Valentine's.
I mean, the people in the UK were so blessed with the exporters, the Flying Dutchman, and the wholesalers bringing in flowers overnight, and before you open your shop, a lot of people had their flowers in already. I mean, that's unbelievable.
We've been spoilt. But I remember, I'm old enough that I remember having to go to market and do it myself. Sort of like, you know,
So the plants for now is still a bit, it has to find its way.
It has to find its way, and I think, you know, if you look at what COVID has done, you know, it has increased the popularity in plants hugely. So it is something we're going to work at it quickly to get it resolved.
But I mean, you can see it on the prices of the plants. I mean, they are skyrocketing because everybody wants some plants in their house because people are sitting at home, working from home. So that's good, and it has nothing to do with the Brexit or whatever. But maybe people will blame it because look, there's some inspections, that's why it's more expensive, but the whole market is going up.
It was the prices were going up before Brexit came into play, and it is supply and demand. And I mean, this is where I actually feel sorry for the supermarket suppliers, because they are being squeezed to the point of silliness. But conversely, poor florists are having to pay a lot more.
But I think the supermarket suppliers, if they don't get squeezed, they don't know what to do. Am I right, Kosta?
But they won't be there much longer if they get squeezed too hard.
That's true.
It just needs a reset, and I think there's plenty to go after for a reset. If you sit down with anybody now to talk about where the business is and where the business is going, there's quite a lot to say. Well, look, there's all these factors at play now.
Yeah.
This secures your product, and this makes it viable, and this makes us still a supplier in 12 months' time. Outside of that, it's very, very little likelihood you're going to have a partner to work with. And we've spoken before. It is a partnership, and it is about working. Those companies working together in order to get to the end goal.
Yeah, but is there an opportunity for florists? I mean, it's difficult for the retail, for everybody. It's difficult to get plants in. I can imagine that retailers say, "Okay, we just go with 3 lines and that's it," because the rest is too difficult.
For sure, there'd be rationalisation of SKUs within the supermarkets, which is a massive opportunity for florists, given their selection and their knowledge of being able to take advantage of seasonal products, but also some more unusual, house plants. And more unusual flowering plants that supermarkets probably will not take the risk on.
Yeah. So
and with social media, it's so easy to promote the fact that you have, if you buy a tray of this and a tray of that, you don't have to buy hundreds of them. But we've got a GFG, a Helensburgh of flowers, and she's doing a whole series of social media posts at the moment about individual plants, very stylish, lots of information. She's making them sexy, and she's selling them.
Yep.
And it's much easier for a florist to move quickly on a new line, or swap and change each week. And as long as the sort of supply lines are coming in, and I see Meryl has made an observation that she's bringing in twice a week, and I know the same is true of Fleur Metz and Tom Brown and Van Vliet, because like the BBC, I have to say that there are all sorts of wholesalers out there. Other suppliers are available, but florists can move so quickly, and duck and dive far better than a supermarket can.
The supermarket will always follow the trends of florists.
Yeah. I mean, Sue Steptoe of Waitrose, sorry to interrupt, but Sue Steptoe, who used to be the head flower buyer of Waitrose, one of the fastest growing supermarkets around, she used to read my magazine and take all the ideas and put them into Waitrose. It was sort of like, why not?
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Merel said, I can't show it all, but I will read it. Hi all, plans are doable. We deliver them 2 days a week. It's like John says, it's a learning curve. It's only that the information changes still a lot. But we as a floral industry are used to adapting. Cost-wise, indeed, you need them to monitor. Plants have become more important, especially because of the lockdown. We are sending out plants from the first week.
Mm-hmm.
And Kirsten is saying, because we got so many comments, any resourceful florist will have his or her go-to exotic foliage plant for the extra touch that adds value with a single stem. That's also true. I mean, there are so many new nice plants coming up with all and people want to have something special in their house.
It's not just the plant though. It's the pot that it goes well.
Yeah.
Which is again massive advantage for a florist, because a florist will have probably a larger range of product than your high street supermarket. So there's a little touch that makes it that little bit more special in my world. However, I know there's quite a lot of pressure on Sundries as well.
Yeah.
Well, yes, because of containers and prices and all the rest of it. I mean, most of the major suppliers are predicting price rises there. So if there are bargains to be had, anybody that sees a good bargain, grab it. You know, this is time to, you know, my family say, why have we got 10 cans of something? And I say, because it was on special offer.
Your husband will not ask if it's beer. He will only say, why do we only have 10?
Yes. When the Moretti goes on special, oh boy, does that get bought. But I think it's plants are hugely exciting, and people don't want just one plant. I mean, my daughter has a relatively small flat, but she's got about 15 plants in it, and she keeps buying, and they become pets. And sort of, particularly for millennials, it's a sort of, there's not quite competition as to who can have the most plants, but I mean, you know, there's a Facebook page on called Houseplant Hoarders, and I'm amazed. They've got hundreds.
Look at Mr. Plant Geek. He has I don't know how many followers as well. I mean, it's really trending. So, but to go back to the Sundries, John, can you tell a bit more about that?
Yeah, it's just Sundries are really hard at the moment. The delay along, we are getting them in, but when they're saying okay, they're expected on a certain day, we're usually adding 2-3 weeks to that. I was speaking to Kosta earlier. The containers are in the wrong place. And to get them into location is either extremely expensive or just hard to come by. Again, I'll be honest with you, it was something that was known. It wasn't an unknown. We stocked up heavily in the run-up to probably October, November. And the issue's still there, though I must admit they are getting through that issue now. They're getting through. The other issue with Sundries, which was a kind of supplementary issue, was I think a lot of the sundry suppliers in Holland were used to just tagging their products onto an exporter's lorry and letting them do the logistics. My exporter now is saying the only products I want on my lorry are my products because we're not going to risk the documentation not being correct.
Yeah, that's totally true. But the delay on Sundries, and most of it is probably China. Does it have to do with the Brexit, or is it COVID?
COVID.
Or is it both?
Well, it started because it was COVID, because everything stopped.
Yeah.
It's COVID related.
Yeah. So just to get it clear, I've got a question from Kirsten van Dijk. Does Brexit have any influence over sustainability issues?
No.
No.
Still work same standards.
Yeah.
Very high standards that we do work to. We're still maintaining those on.
There will be absolutely no drop in standards as far as the UK flower industry is concerned in terms of expectation or implementation. It would be totally mad to,
responsible, I would call it.
Yeah. We have to stick to all the gains that have been made in that area and continue to improve on it.
Yeah, because in the US you see that more people are just buying the plastic dishes, things like that, because they're afraid of giving COVID to somebody else. That's what I heard as well. So I think that there are areas where people have been more cautious because of COVID and the risk of infection. But I think that in terms of, are we going to suddenly kiss goodbye to all our beliefs around sustainability, environmental issues, looking after the people, etc.? No, absolutely not. Yeah, I mean the standards in the supermarket in the UK supermarkets are really high, and also the florist. I mean, if you talk about floral foam, a lot of florists are looking for alternatives there because they want to see something else.
No foam is a big movement.
Yeah, I mean, already 2 years ago, I don't know how many thousand followers they had on Instagram, but it was huge.
Yeah, I mean, there are. I think one has to be a little careful about the no foam debate, because I remember Simon Lysett doing a presentation and we were talking about foam, and he opened up a sort of carpet bag, Mary Poppins bag, and there was his little block of foam, and then he pulled out the plastic pots and the cable ties and the cellophane that came round it, etc., and it was sort of, foam is just one part of it. And in consumption, tonnage, etc., relatively small compared to what else the industry as a whole produces and uses in plastic terms.
Yeah. Kosta, you wanted to add something?
I was just going to add from a sustainability and environmental factor, it's driven by customer demand.
Yeah.
The customer wants more friendly products, and the ethos of the farms is to be providing that product anyway. I mean, they learned many years ago to start looking after the soil, the water, and their impact on it. So there's not going to be any change. The standards are phenomenal, and they're only going to get better.
Yeah, and what about the local produce? I mean, we talk about sustainable. There's hardly any transport, and now with Brexit, will there be an increase in produce, or will there be increase in demand, or what will happen there? Or
I've already seen an increase in British products anyway, people wanting it, but I think that's been going on for the last 4 or 5 years. People, they buy into provenance, where you're getting your stuff from. There's some fantastic growers out there, but it's quite telling. I think this week, one of the growers put out that their first shipment of plug plants from the EU has cost them more, and is it sustainable to keep on bringing that in? So we can talk about British product, but we can't forget that the plug plants, the bulbs, are also brought in from the EU.
Yeah, that's one thing, but the plugs are always cheaper than the end product, and the plugs as well. So for him, of course, it's a great increase in his buying, but in the end, it's a small part of the end price.
Yep.
I mean, hopefully he will be able to cover it, and I saw that one as well, John. And florists are going to just have to realise that there is an on-cost involved, and duck and dive on their pricing as much as they duck and dive on their product range. There is always a replacement flower. There is always something out there that will be cost less and give the same appearance, and why Florist Choice, another side benefit of COVID, the introduction of Florist Choice has been the savior of many a florist, because instead of having to have 6 of this, well, that was 5, but that was 4, but 6 instead of having to have a set menu of specifics, they've been allowed complete free reign, which has been both fun and more profitable. And long may it continue.
Yeah, can I add, it also makes my job a lot more exciting, if I'm honest with you. It does. Picking the same products day in, day out, because it's in an ingredients list. It's not the most fun thing in the world to see florists actually create and come up with new ideas, new styles. It makes the variety so much better.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one has to give credit to Interflora and Direct to Florist on that, where they literally, and Interflora particularly, because it was always menu based, for the biggest player in the market to say, okay, free reign, as long as it looks good, as long as the customer is happy, kudos, good on them.
Yeah, great. I've got a question from Anne Guns. Are there more cases of bankruptcy in the florist sector because of Brexit and COVID?
Far too early to tell. I mean, for me, from my perspective, when we did our survey as to how many people would give up, it's tiny. It's 4 or 5 out of 290 respondents are giving up. I also think that with furlough schemes, grants, etc., there should be no reason for a florist to give up, because they, I mean, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's not, they're not being hit as hard as they might have been. I mean, John's the finance person.
Yeah, I would add, the government has really propped up this industry, and we can't forget, compared to other industries, we have been fairly lucky. We can work behind closed doors. We can do deliveries. If you're in England, you can do click and collect. And the government haven't penalised you on that with regards to the grants they're giving you and things like that. when you look at other industries where they literally can't open, we've been quite lucky. I think if people are looking to close, I feel sorry for them. It may be because that was on the cards anyway, and this is a good enough reason to do it. But no, I haven't seen large amount of people default on debt. Actually, surprisingly, after Mother's Day, straight after all this, we actually see the opposite. We see people paying off their debt.
Okay.
I think they used that first £10,000.
Absolutely.
An awful lot of florist shops thought, right, I want to go into this, whatever this is, debt-free, clean and clear, and I'll deal with the fallout afterwards. And they paid their wholesale bills and they then move forward. And, you know, the turnover may be down, but profitability is up. People have been able to stash cash. No, we don't know how long this is going to last. I mean, let's be brutally honest. The lockdown works for florists wherever they are in the world.
Yeah.
When lockdown is lifted, sales go down because obviously people have other things to spend money on. You only have to look at the players like Bloom and Wild, Freddie's Flowers, etc. They too have seen extraordinary growth. So, you know, in terms of bankruptcy or business failure, at the moment, I don't think there is much. And in fact, I think that many shops have been strengthened, both mentally and financially, to move forward and be stronger in the future.
I don't think we'll see any impact until three to 4 months after everything stops. When things get back to normal, exactly what Caroline was saying, when people start spending money on other things.
Yeah.
Is it also something, and then my neighbor starts drilling again? It was quiet for 2 months, but I think he knows you, Kosta. So
it's the opposition. That's what it is, John.
Yeah.
They bribed him.
Not Kevin, is it? No, sorry.
Is it speeding? Is it the COVID and Brexit just speeding up things? Like people wanted to stop, they will stop probably a year earlier. Change in buying, or maybe from another country, or things like that. Is it just speeding up some things? Internet sales, of course.
Internet sales have increased massively. I think there's been anybody that was looking to move away from buying in Europe to buying through an importer, or in some cases direct if they're large enough. It would have fast tracked that thought process. But you know, there's other things at play though. COVID was the first step before Brexit, without doubt.
Yeah, but for example, I know some planes are flying via Amsterdam, or they land in Amsterdam and then it has to go to the UK. Does that influence in any way? Is it more expensive, or is it?
Well, it means obviously if it's landing in the UK, it's fresher because you're going to get it 24 to 48 hours earlier. And that's going to influence quite a lot of people, especially when you're moving, you know, more delicate product like roses that are more temperature sensitive. There is a desire to move product as much as possible into the UK. The change was very, very early with many of the cargo flights moving straight into Holland and not stopping in the UK. But again, the industry adapts, and you know, a lot of people have moved product in different ways.
Yeah, and will it speed up things as well with transport by containers on the sea with flowers, like is happening already for some of the supermarkets?
Those plans would have already been in place, John, 6 to 8 months before anything would have changed, because those planting programs would have been in place. Investment would have been booked already. So those plans were there. The change with Europe, as I say, we've been all talking about this 3 or 4 years already. I can't tell you how many of those risk analyses I've filled in with what's coming from Europe versus the rest of the world for a supermarket, and how many trucks and how many containers. The big thing is changes. The big influences, as I say, is the changes that are happening last minute. So an ocean freight company last minute deciding that they're going to stop servicing Folkestone or Dover and move direct into Holland, and that they're gonna skip that routing altogether because it's an opportunity for them to save a bit of cash, and not service that, and all of a sudden you've got a container that's popping up in Holland that you have to clear and pull back.
Yeah.
Or worst case scenario is they won't change the paperwork, and you're waiting for it to be then cross-loaded onto a second vessel to come back to the UK, and that can be a disaster because that could take 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, especially with the delays. I mean, a flight sometimes delays a couple of hours, but with vessels it can be much longer, of course.
Sure, yeah.
No. Merel added something for the florist and then the wedding planners or the wedding florist. Some wedding event florists are having a hard time, but that are not shops.
Absolutely, and I mean, I was sort of thinking, oh, that was very horrid of me to say how wonderful it was and not reflect and accept that there have been areas that have been damaged. And of course, the lack of weddings has had a huge impact on growers of certain products. So, for example, white roses, decimated because most white roses are going into weddings. Hydrangeas, where a London wholesaler might sell 200-300 boxes of South American hydrangea, it just hasn't happened, and that wasn't product that could be instantly picked up on the burgeoning. Sorry, Kosta?
Garden roses, decimated.
Garden roses. I mean, poor Joey. I mean,
flowers as well. I mean, there are so many products, especially more exclusive products. But in the end, if the normal florist, they got a chance of using them now as well, because they're now priced really well. So now is the chance to start to work with those flowers as well and see what you can do with it. It's also a way to stand out with the supermarkets.
I think that, because I mean, Louisa has just asked a question about supermarkets, and actually, Louisa, we haven't covered that, so we can bring it in now. Thank you. I think that we have to remember in the UK, I mean, there may be only 6,000 shops, and the average turnover of a shop in the UK is only 125,000. They are relatively small units. But I actually rang John and I said, can you check my math? Because I thought, that doesn't make sense. But actually, the UK florist sector, independent, even if we take it at only 5,500, is worth over £500 million. That's a lot of flower buying. Now, I think a lot of florists have been used to buying X, Y, and Z products. Now it's time to maybe get a bit braver, for Valentine's, maybe invest in white roses, not just red. Mother's Day, go all out, because it's not even just about using more fun products. It's about using it as a marketing and advertising tool to show your customers that actually you are just absolutely amazing. And that's why they should always use a local florist. Yeah. So there's an opportunity there as well.
John, can you see, for example, a change in quality that florists are buying a higher quality? I mean, in the beginning of COVID, and the prices were down dramatically. There was a great chance to buy good quality.
Yeah, fantastic opportunity to buy good quality and different products that generally they would have sort of shied away from. But with the free rein they've been given, absolutely, we've seen that. And even so now, even coming to Valentine's now, I think people are looking for a high-end product. And when you're looking at the Valentine's roses and you're looking at how it works, the high-end product is where we stand out from everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, everybody who's buying on internet, they don't want to have any risks. So if they buy shoes and they have size 10, they want to get size 10, and they don't want to get size 7 or 8 because it doesn't fit. Or if they're buying red sneakers, they want red sneakers and not white ones.
Sorry, I'm laughing because Karen's just said that she's noticed I put my lippy on. First time in months, dear.
Yeah, Karen, I hope you don't mind. We didn't do it.
Speak for yourself, John.
That's only the clowns in the circus who do that.
It's where were we? Sorry.
Yeah. No, with the good quality and also with the internet sales, I think a lot of florists learned a lot over the last couple of months selling online, and the great opportunities. I mean, and also that's not because of Brexit, but I think because of COVID, we've got a whole new generation that is interested, like we already covered with the plants, also in flowers and gardening and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's, and this is where, to be honest, the traditional sector has to learn from players like Freddy's and Bloom and Wild, and because they have marketing down to a T, they are very clever, but it is nothing that a local florist can't do, and it is nothing that can't be done on a local level, and possibly with far more effect to generate customers that are within a 10-mile radius, rather than worrying about, getting orders from that side of the world or that side of the country. Focus on your 10-mile radius and make sure that you are getting every single punter you can and moving them away from supermarkets. We must go back to Louisa's question, John.
Yeah, I will read it. Louisa saying, sorry, missed a bit. Louisa and everybody else watching. It will be on Facebook and later on YouTube as well, so you can watch it. Or even we have there's a podcast available on iTunes, Spotify, and Google podcast, so you can listen to it as well. That was the commercial break. Do you think supermarkets will be able to sustain their flower stock and sales? Is there a possibility that that florists might win through Brexit?
Supermarkets will be able to sustain their stock. There's been a lot of rationalisation in the ranges. My view is florists will win by being able to be more diverse and being more creative, and that is the same message I've been saying for I don't know how many years. It's just stop looking at what the supermarkets are doing. You're doing something completely different. It's art.
Yeah,
I think they're buying a statement.
Yeah,
I think possibly where the fear is of supermarkets is price points. That if a customer is driven by a supermarket price point of, say, £10, a florist can't necessarily match that. And if the demographic in the area can't afford to go over £10, then that is a challenge. I actually wonder if COVID will be more of a problem for supermarkets selling flowers than Brexit, simply because for as long as we are discouraged from going shopping, there will be less footfall in supermarkets, and therefore the shop local element comes into play.
Yeah,
that's where I think local has scored. But to be honest, I haven't been to a supermarket now for my last outing was about 2 months ago to Asda.
That was the gym was on special then, wasn't it?
No, but something else.
Yes.
Asda's great. I love Asda, especially at 2 a.m, because it's virtually empty.
The shift in supporting local businesses. There's been a tremendous support for that, and it's been carried by the stock in supermarket retailers on fresh produce collapsing very early in COVID because of for whatever reason, people buying an extra bag of pasta or whatever, but it made people look around their local area around what they can get, and the florists benefited from that.
Yeah,
and hopefully yes, they will be able to sustain those customers.
Yeah, Karen is also saying, I truly believe that at the moment the public want to support local more than ever before. It's our time to shine. And yeah, Karen, I hate to say think outside the box because everybody is shouting it, but literally just look at a box how flowers are supplied to a supermarket. If you make something that doesn't fit in that box, supermarkets will never copy you.
Well, it's why
easy it is.
yeah, it's why they've struggled so hard to get arrangements onto the shelves. They'd love to get arrangements onto the shelves because they know that it would make more profit.
Yeah.
You make more profit out of a foam or vase based design than you do out of a hand tied, but they can't get it in a box. They cannot get it shipped safely. And I know that florists sort of cringe when I say living cards or envelopes or hat boxes or whatever, but it is a USP, and you have to keep pushing that, because otherwise, you know, if it's just hand tied, then everybody's doing that.
John has hat box stock, because Caroline's mentioned hat boxes is going to be now.
Carrie says hat boxes, you know, living cards. Have you got living cards?
No, it's totally true. It's time for the florist to stand out and also change your stock every other week to have something different. I mean, some of the shops are already obviously closed and working behind closed doors. But once you are open, if you're open, just surprise your customers as well with different flowers. I mean, the supermarket have their lines running either year-round or in a season. They're not changing so much.
I know customers that are closed but are still updating their social media regularly with exciting designs that they're creating. You know, they're not open for business in the traditional sense of the word, but they're still out there and they're still showing what they can do.
Yeah,
and I'm delighted to see so many. I mean, in the first lockdown, everybody sort of covered their windows and put, you know, so like, and I go, whoa, why are we doing this? Your window still has to look stunning, absolutely amazing. It's got to be, if anything, it's got to be even more exciting because people are bored, rigid. You know, they're looking. Strangers talk to me on dog walks now. It's that desperate. People want to see new things. So use the fact that you have a plate glass window where you can safely, and also shows you're open. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, I had to take Good Housekeeping to task because they had said that florist shops were shut. And it was sort of like, no, we're not shut. We are operating under guidelines of the government to work behind closed doors. I'm glad to say they've removed it now. But people do think that shops are shut, so you have to make a big noise visually and maybe even volume-wise. Is there any rule that says you can't have a sound system outside with music playing? I don't know.
And I mean, there's so many possibilities now. Normally you could advertise in a local newspaper, but use Google, use Facebook, use Instagram. You can advertise in your area. So
opportunities for that. And showcase so many opportunities for to showcase, you know, even the hard hit hospitality sector that, you know, is a big chunk of our business. Even then, they've been using social media massively, just doing the bouquets that they're doing. You know, normally you'd see their big events and the photographs of those that have been done, but they're doing retrospective work as far as, you know, what they were doing this time last year, the work that is going out, even though it's a much smaller scale, the work that's going out now.
Yeah, it really is.
And it will come back. And, you know, I feel desperately sorry for the wedding and event business, you know, but what else could happen? You know, it just is sod's law.
Yeah.
And I don't know. But a lot of wedding and event florists have pivoted. And a lot of florists have decided they don't ever want to do a wedding again. So I thought, actually, it's quite nice not doing weddings. So that will be an opportunity for florists after all this is over to pick up extra work.
Yeah, that's for sure. And once it starts again with the events, I think we will. They need to cope up with it, because the first period that it's possible, probably there's going to be loads of events.
Yeah.
And as I think John, I talked to you yesterday evening as well, and we were talking about that people are more interested in flowers and plants now. So I was thinking, if people are so interested in flowers and plants, it probably is going to be part of their budget as well for their wedding or for their event. While normally it was, oh, and we need flowers as well. So where can we get them?
Absolutely, but that's why I really hope that the growers keep faith, because I believe 2022 will be massive, and we need the growers to keep faith that it's going to be that way, because otherwise supply again will be an issue, and prices will continue to rise.
Yeah,
well, from what I can see, and I've got many friends that are in the hospitality industry from a hotel perspective, from a photography perspective as well, and cars, everything. The fact is that many of the events that were booked for 2020 and for 2021, they're already being moved to 2022.
Yeah.
Venues look, there we go.
Yeah.
Venues are completely booked. You're going to see, yes, it's going to be a deluge, but it's virtually going to be every day of the week by the looks of things that things are happening. But it's as long as we come out of this year, next year, yes, agree with you completely, John, will be bonkers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a busy year, 2022. I think we're going to be drunk once with all the parties, but it's from the beginning till the end.
As long as we're sober for 23, it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's true. Kate is saying COVID and Brexit are mingled. I think florists just see it all as just something else to solve. Our best moves are to keep talking to each other like this and helping each other with ideas for buying, marketing, and promotions.
Sounds like a guide.
I spent 4 years planning for Brexit just for COVID to overtake it at the last minute. So.
Hell, I was supposed to be retired before COVID. That sort of went out the window as well.
Yeah, well, that's you see, COVID brings something good as well. You're still in the floral industry, busy, so that's great.
No, it's great, and I am so amazed because I deal with florists around the world and growers, and I'm very blessed to sort of work across the sector, and I'm just amazed at how everybody has fought so hard to keep it all going. That it was it was not, oh my gosh, let's just go off and slash our wrists. It was right, roll our sleeves up, let's get going, and how we're going to deal with this. And I don't think there was ever a time, well, apart from when the auction crashed, that was a bit dismal, but apart from then, I think everybody has just bashed on and said, right, there is a way through. I look at my American sector friends, Society of American Florists has done a brilliant job generating enthusiasm and ideas across Europe. It's been phenomenal. And there are losses. Let's not kid ourselves. There have been some huge losses, and there's a lot of consolidation, and people, mergers and acquisitions are just rife. What was it? Kosta knows this more than I do. Rabo said it was down to 50 or something.
No, it's not 50. The Rabobank they're now 150 traders in Holland, and they expect Rabobank that it's going to be 50 traders by 2027.
Wow!
So that's going to change a lot. Is that something that you foresee happening in the UK as well?
Well, it's already started pre-COVID with a lot of changes from the big packers anyway, as we've spoken previously about. But as we've said, with every challenge comes a new opportunity.
Yeah.
But my view is the smaller guy is always going to be more fleet of foot and faster to react because it's their sole focus. Whereas a big conglomerate will have multiple customers and probably a disjointed level of what their customer percentages are, and basically the big customers are always going to get served the most focus.
Yeah,
the little guy can make some big wins.
Yeah, that's for sure. That it opens a window for the little guys, I think. I mean,
I think, yeah, people want to. Oh, sorry, that's my phone. The Thunderbirds, I'll go. Oh,
you get your orders in. Charles is saying, hi, Caroline. COVID showed the importance of solidarity between the generations. Do you believe Grandparents' Day can become an important holiday for the flower business in the UK? Regards from Italy.
greetings, Charles. Long time no see. I think we did try with Grandparents' Day a long time ago. Where I can't remember when it is. And I think the problem we had back then, and I'm not using this as an excuse not to do it, I'm just sort of dredging the memory banks, was that people said, well, if they're a grandparent, surely they're a mother or father as well, and we've got Mother's Day and Father's Day. So there was that sort of objection to it. Yeah. My view is that any excuse to promote the purchase of flowers and plants should be exploited to the absolute hilt. And, you know, with our GFG hat on, or my GFG hat on, if there is a reason, I'll make a little posterette for it and say, okay, guys, let's try and sell for this, or let's try and sell for that. There are some occasions that I think it's impolitic. So, you know, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't hang on to a charity thing. I think that's a bit pants. Because that looks as if you're just trying to ride on the back of something. But no, I mean, I'd be willing to give it a bash.
I think we're already seeing at Valentine's Day, aren't we? You know, they're promoting love rather than just the idea of romance.
Yeah.
And there's also Galentine's Day.
Yeah.
But then when's the ladding nights? Valentine's.
Yeah. Don't break your tongue there.
That's a tricky one. But Galentine's, I've never heard of.
No, but it's, I mean, Singles Day in China, that was made up as well. What was it, 10 years ago? It's now the biggest online selling day there is.
Yeah, and Friendship Day, I mean, Colombia has Friends Day, which is, you know, I think that's a lovely one. I mean, what I do worry about is that these days, you know, I have an awareness day calendar, and there are about 3 different versions. That was definitely 3. There are 3 different versions of Houseplant Week. But then I suppose, why not?
Yeah, I mean, the more holidays, the better. We already discussed Valentine's. What do you think about the Mother's Day?
Oh, it's going to be storming.
Yeah?
Yeah, because we're in the UK, we'll still be in lockdown. They've already told us that we don't come out. Probably shops won't be open until April. It's the prediction now. No, it's going to be manic.
And I think by knowing the fact that you already know that it's closed, it's, of course, it's not perfect, but at least you know what's going to happen when you're in, like, okay, do I need to close down? Yes or no?
Yeah.
I think that.
Well, you know, I think again that's another win potentially for the florists, the large e-commerce, you know, operators. There's going to be pressure on transport, pressure on yodel deliveries, etc., etc. Other courier companies are available, but the number of slots out there is going to be, you know, it's limited anyway, and the more that gets dropped in there, the more pressure they're under. I mean, they have enough pressure on a normal Mother's Day. There, you know, last year, you know, there was a lot delivered the next day. You know, I think you might start seeing some options again to start having product on the Saturday before, rather than just on the Sunday. I think there'll be some incentives out there potentially to move that day around a little bit. Just so.
I think that the online players are going to be victims of their own success, and that they again don't have the flex that a small independent retailer has in terms of being able to suddenly say, right, I need 6 staff, I will do a phone round of all my friends and I will get assistance. You know, yes, on Valentine's and with COVID, we have an issue that the traditional mums and dads that got brought in to do deliveries won't be because of safety reasons, but that does not mean that friends will not help. or that they can't approach their local taxi companies,
Yeah.
who are not terribly busy at the moment, and say, right, can I deploy your services? So we can, a retail florist can flex a lot faster. And
back, John.
Yeah.
if I just keep talking, maybe I'll hide the noise. But they won't. So retail florists could pick up a lot of business. And if the pack houses fail at Valentine's Day, then there will be more incentive to go to a local, reliable florist supplier.
That's the point I was going to come on to around, on Brexit. Probably the largest impact to not just the flower industry, but the whole fresh produce industry in the UK is that a lot of that labour that was quite skilled is no longer in the UK. Or, a lot of those guys, they've gone back to, all the European countries that we were drawing from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're not going to come.
No.
Yeah.
I'm predicting a really big Mother's Day. We had a record Christmas. Pre-sales are up at Valentine's already. I think the good news is, I think when we're looking at the possibility of further checks on flowers, that doesn't come into play till April. So
we are so blessed in the UK.
Yeah.
We are really so terribly lucky to, we have to keep looking at the positives. I can't, our death rate is dreadful, and yes, our government has done some crap things. But, sorry, I just used a really rude word. But we have to keep looking at the positives, because otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
There's far more than negatives.
Yeah, Kosta, you were saying everybody's actually saying it's going to be a great Valentine's, going to be a great Mother's Day. Are the supermarkets preparing for that? They're looking at data from last year, and last time it was on a Sunday, the Valentine's. Did they buy enough?
There's the potential that there might not be enough in store, that it could be under egging it this year and be underselling. There's been a lot of changes from the supermarket sector this year. Well, in the past 12 months, let's say.
Yeah.
And, there's one of the larger packers is not packing for one of the larger retailers anymore. So there's a lot of variables out there again, which might mean that there is possibility of there being, so with all the rationalization of the ranges as well, either a uninspiring range on the fixture in a particular retailer, or not enough product out there.
Yeah. So again, a big chance for local florists.
Well, also, I think for Valentine's, they really need to push the fact that they need to order online, because a lot of people, in Scotland and Ireland, they can't do click and collect anyway. And there are a lot of florists who don't wish to do click and collect for safety reasons, and I totally get that. Encouraging chaps to order in advance is always a challenge.
Yeah.
But you've just got to keep banging on and saying, look, you must order. And I think supermarkets, with all the rules and regulations and increased strictness on how they are to conduct themselves, may not be looking at flowers as a prime item in the attempt to just get people in and out doing what they should be doing. I don't know.
I think you've seen some changes in floor plans within supermarkets, where people are moving through some of the supermarkets. And yes, I've observed when I've been out and about, still looking at how some of the supermarkets work, I've noticed that some of the flower fixtures are not in prime position anymore.
Yeah.
And smaller.
Yeah, correct. End of the cafe, the wrong end of the walkway, those type of things. I don't think you're going to see, unless they decide to use them as guidance to get people into certain areas of the store as the actual boundaries. I don't think you're going to see massive over trading on the floral side.
Yeah.
What was done at Christmas in several stores was Christmas products being used as between the areas where people would be queuing in order to move through the store.
Yeah.
So there was, Christmas wreaths, mince pies, prosecco, etc., being used to separate people, as it were. Will some of the supermarkets take that approach? Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that's we know it in a couple of weeks. I mean,
Of course, it could be that they're watching this and they'll all go, "Oh, blimey, we ought to be selling lots more."
yeah, your phone was already ringing, so I don't know who it was.
I do not work for any supermarket. It's one thing that I've never done. Oh, once I did. I recruited staff, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah. But to make a conclusion, I mean, we talked about a lot of subjects. Brexit, of course, it influences some things, especially the plants and the sundries, but not as much maybe as expected, or not as much. It didn't have much of an impact as we would have thought a couple of years ago, and that's partly, or maybe a big part, that's COVID, because that's way bigger of an issue at the moment than the Brexit. Of course, still some things are coming up with the flowers, maybe who have to be checked as well. Let's see how that works out. So maybe we can do this again in a couple of months.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, can we do it again anyway? Because it's great fun and it's a good excuse for A, my hair to be cut by my husband, and B, to put lipstick on.
Yeah, but don't worry. Also, Kosta did his hair, John did his hair, and I also did my hair.
Might be using a little bit of foundation though next time, because I'm noticing quite a lot of shine.
You can wear a hat.
This is rad. And we're all only drinking tea, I promise.
Yeah. Maybe there's something in it, but we'll never know. After all, it's Friday afternoon. Is there anything you want to add? Something maybe I forgot to mention, or starting with you, Caroline?
No, just thank you so much for inviting me. I love these, and we had a rehearsal talk yesterday. It was just such fun, and I think talking is just hugely important. That we are all in this mess together, and whatever sector you're in, we are actually all interlinked. We need, I mean, okay, I don't want supermarkets to do marvelously, but on the other hand, they do take a lot of flowers for growers, so we can't diss them completely. The fact that people like Bloom and Wild and Freddy's are doing so well is actually quite good, because it means that more and more people are looking at flowers, and then it's an opportunity for, it's engaging and making people flower aware. And so talking and sharing ideas, I love that. Always have, always will.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah. John?
Yeah, thanks for inviting me today. Probably just a message to the florists, really, just to keep on doing what they're doing. They've been pretty inspirational in 2020. They've certainly given me a drive to keep on doing what I do. Just keep on doing what you're doing, guys, and we'll support you all the way.
Yeah. Kosta?
Well, it's always good to talk. And it's always good fun to come on the show, John. Brexit hasn't broken us yet. We've all still got food. We've all still got flowers.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is we'll continue on. So for the florist perspective, just carry on doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and just be creative, and like I said earlier, think outside the box. Make something else than the supermarkets are doing. Don't go into that price fight.
No.
I mean, we already seen the butchers a lot of them losing the fight with the supermarkets. The ones who stand out with doing something special, they are surviving and thriving, actually. The same with fruits and vegetables, and in floral business, we're the same. We need to stand out to survive this.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It will happen.
So, Caroline. It's the Brexit, so maybe you have to sing "God Save the Queen," or.
I won't say. Well, thank you, Anne. It is one of my favourite songs. It's the only one that my dad ever remembers the words to in his slightly fragile state these days. So I appreciate that, but no, I'm not going to sing. I'll do many things for my readers and my audience, but singing ain't one of them.
Okay, so next time it's not tea, it's something else. Maybe we can ask you to sing then.
No, but I do have a brilliant Good Florist Guide member, Nicola, who is the most amazing songstress.
Okay, let's
not only is she an amazing florist, but she sings stunningly.
Let's invite her next time so she can do the opening of the the breakfast special. I want to thank everybody for watching and listening. And next week we have another online flower show with Tiffany Van Lente. Talented Tiffany Van Lente, while my neighbor is saying hurry up. Actually, she's going to make some really nice arrangements and based on UK Mother's Day. So you'll get some inspiration there as well from her. And then you're still in time to book your pre-orders. So thank you again for watching.
Orders in.
Yeah.
Get orders in. They will. Got to get the flowers in.
Yeah. So thank you again for watching and